Are you a grudge holder? Do you have a hard time forgiving someone for something they did to you? Maybe recently, maybe so many years ago, maybe as a child. Maybe you've been walking around carrying this hurt that someone did to you and letting it live in your brain rent free all these years. There's this quote: holding on to a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting it to hurt someone else. Now, I'm not saying you wish this person would drink poison and they die. Definitely not saying that. I'm just saying it's just an example. It's just to illustrate that. And when we do this, when we refuse to forgive those that have hurt us, we're not hurting them, we're hurting ourselves. We're about to talk about all this. Stay tuned. Hey, beautiful people. In case you haven't noticed, I've got this huge cold sore on my lips. So what I'm going to do is continue my talk about this very important topic, but I'm also going to use some of my flying footage. So y'all enjoy some of the beautiful scenery I get to see when I'm flying, but listen to my message because I think it might help you. You know, as long as we refuse to forgive, we're giving power to this person that did us wrong. And by forgiving them, we reclaim that power. So because I did this for so very long, I kind of feel like it gives me a right to talk about it. And I did not have the best mother. You know, she wasn't evil, and much of what she did or didn't do to me was not her fault because she's not that bright. She was young, she was inexperienced, and she didn't have that great of an upbringing. Her parents weren't all that, but she neglected me emotionally, and she just didn't teach me the things that I needed as a child. She didn't give me the support. She didn't protect me. She didn't guide me. And I just felt like I could have been so much more in this world if I would have just had a better mom. And I hated her for that. And I couldn't forgive her for that. For most of my life, most of my entire adult life, I held a grudge. I'm not holding it anymore. I'm mature enough to know that, you know, like I said, much of it is not her fault. You know, she just didn't know better. She was never taught. She never received those things herself. So I can forgive her now. Now, that doesn't mean that I have to embrace her. That doesn't mean that, you know, I have to anything, you know, other than just let it go. And that's what I've done. That's what I'm letting it go. I'm no longer going to let that harm done to me so many years ago continue to drag me down and hurt me and prevent me from being all that I can be. So there's this guy I follow. He's a happiness expert. I love this guy, man. He really knows his stuff. So Mo Gadat, Gawdat. He is literally an expert in artificial intelligence, but also an expert in happiness. He's wrote many books on it. And why he got into this happiness thing is he suffered a huge, huge tragedy. I mean, like the biggest loss you could imagine. He lost his son, who was 21 years old, to a routine surgical procedure. He went in for an appendectomy, and just the surgeon made a bunch of mistakes, and his son ultimately died because of it. So Mo had to make a choice. You know, he's like, I mean, do I lay down and die too because I lost my son? Or do I accept the fact that he is gone, and do I reclaim my life, forgive, you know, this surgeon for his mistakes, and choose to be happy? You know, I got to accept, he's like, I got to accept my reality. I don't have to like it, but I don't have to dwell in it. I have to let it go and choose to be happy and move on. Choosing to forgive is not forgetting. It's not saying what they did was okay. It's not an invitation to let them back into your life. It's none of those things. It's just giving yourself permission to let it go and be happy and stop giving it the power to drag you down physically, mentally, emotionally. I mean, in certain cases, you could dwell on something long enough for it to make you sick. It could, impact your immune system. And mentally and emotionally, I mean, that's even more so, because a lot of times we carry this around and we're unconscious of it. It may affect decisions we make in our life, directions we take, goals that we set for ourselves. We may choose, no, I can't do that. I don't have what it takes to get that done, because we feel like we've been crippled by this harm done to us so long ago. It can affect our self-worth. If your self-worth is impacted, that's going to affect every aspect of your life. Forgiveness is realizing that you're the one being tortured, not the other person. You can't control the past. You can't continue to live in a fantasy that something didn't happen to you when it did. Reality is not always attractive, but it is always our truth. And we have to choose to accept what is true, whether it's good or bad. We don't have to dwell on it, but we have to accept it if we expect to move on, and to be able to do that in a fruitful way. Mo touches on this in much of his writing, and that is, so much of our suffering comes from our failure or refusal to accept our reality. Pain is going to happen. Bad things are going to happen. People are going to do you wrong. You're going to lose your job. Somebody is going to pass away. Somebody's going to break up with you. I mean, bad things happen. We're never going to change that. But we have to accept the reality of these bad things and choose to not dwell on them, but to move on, accept them for what they are. Many times, I look at them as lessons, learning lessons. I say this all the time. Everything, I say it more the older I get, it seems like it. Everything that we do, everything that happens to us is a lesson. I mean, we are constantly learning. It could be something good, it could be something bad, but I am learning every day. And my poor children, I seem to want to pass all these lessons on to my children, And I'm like, I don't know if it sinks in, but nevertheless, maybe it does. Maybe some of it does. So I'm going to continue passing my lessons on to them in the hopes that I can spare them some suffering. So another tool for getting past this hurt that was done onto you, I know I say, just accept your reality. And maybe that seems, well, George, easier said than done. So how about reframing? Reframing the way you see what was done to you. Instead of dwelling on it and saying, this is why I am the way I am, I suffered a loss, I was neglected this. Reframe it and look at it in a more positive way. Say, I am a stronger person because I learned from what was done to me. Or I am who I am today because of what happened to me. This is a big one for me. Bad things, you learn so much more when you struggle. Friction, we do our damnedest to avoid friction, but when we do incur friction, when we do have to work our way through friction, we come out the other side better, stronger, more capable. Get out of your comfort zone. I know it feels good to stay right there in your happy place where everything's easy. You're in easy mode, like a video game. But you don't grow that way. You have to endure the freedom. Maybe even seek it out. Put yourself in a difficult situation so that you'll know you're going to come out the other side more capable. Reframing. So turning it around, looking at it a different way, a way that's more positive, a way that shows you, hey, I made a conscious choice to accept my reality, and I'm doing it for me so that I can come out ahead. So another aspect of forgiveness is empathy, and empathy is a big one for being misunderstood. I struggle with this even until recently. Empathy is not agreeing what this person did to you. Empathy is not feeling sorry for someone. It's not minimizing what they did to you or saying, yeah, I can understand why you might have done that to me. Empathy is recognizing that someone can be deeply flawed, wounded, and limited without diminishing the validity of your pain. Empathy says, this person acted from their own brokenness. Not that what they did to you was okay. You're not required to like them. You're not required to trust them. You're not required to give them an invitation back into your life. Forgiveness is for you, not for them. As long as a person remains a villain in your mind, they maintain control. When you release them from the power they have over you, you get a little bit of that control back. You give yourself permission to move forward. You give yourself power back. When you can find it in yourself to show empathy for this person that did you wrong, you shrink them. They become, instead of the person that ruined you, they become the person that just didn't have what it took to give you what you needed. In my case, it was my mom who just didn't have what it took at the time to be the mother I needed. I'm sure she's changed. I mean, she's 75 years old and she's got grandchildren now. Hopefully she's a much better grandma than she is a mom. I know I talk about a lot of touchy-feely topics, but forgiveness is not about being soft. It's about becoming free. And freedom is way more valuable than being right or stubborn. Hey, I'm Mursegeorge. I hope you get something from this talk. And if you like my vibe, there's another video that will tell you a little bit more about my story and my mom. Here, I'm going to reframe this. She made me the man that I am today. That's not so awful. We'll see you in the next video. Mursegeorge out.